Okay, so we're looking at the answers to the ratio investigation you did some time ago. Okay, so I'm just looking at the main questions, the main work that had numbers to do with it. Okay, so this first one was you started with the ratio of, you started with the ratio of 2 to 3 and then you had to double it. So for instance, if you have 4 to 2, if you divide through by 2, you get 2 to 1, so there's no change. If you have 6 to 3, that's the same as 2 to 1, you just divide through by 3, so there's no change. But if you look at this one, if you have 3 to 2, that does not equal 2 to 1, so you have changed the colour. And the next one, the same thing. 4 to 3 does not equal 2 to 1, so you have changed the colour. Okay, so they're the first answers. Come across them when you're ready. Okay, so what are the general statements about multiplying? So when you multiply or if you divide, there is no change to the tint. But when you add or if you subtracted, there is a change to the tint. Okay, and then draw a box around which one's correct. So if you multiply, you'll have the same answer. So that one was the correct one. Okay, so come across when you're ready. Okay, so now we're looking at Hayley and Tess making some paint. Which one has the lighter? So the light one will have less red. So this 2 to 1 is 2/3 or 67% red. This one here is 4/5, which is 80% red. Okay, so that's the red component, that's the white. So you've got 5 components or 3 components. So which one is the lightest? Well, the lightest is the less red, so it's going to be paint A. Okay, next one, we've got the red is 11/15, or the red is 6/8, which is 3/4. So you just had to work out which one of those had the lighter shade. So just using your calculator, 11/15 is 0.73, 3/4 is 0.75. The one which is the lightest would be the 11/4. Okay, come across when you're ready. Okay, so this one here was just filling in numbers. So you just had to look at the A number and then 2/3 of 15, because it was 2 to 1, so it's 2/3 red and 1/3 whites. Okay, so this one was just pretty straightforward. Just had to. So we're looking at A, so it's still going to be 10, 10, and then we're doubling it, so it's going to be 20, then tripling it, back to double, and back to triple. Okay, so now, excuse me, we take the A value and times it by 15 and times it by 1/3, but each of the times we've got 2, make sure it adds to 15. Like when we've only got 1, has to add to 15, then it has to add to 30, then has to add to 45, then back to 30, then back to 45. Okay, so with tins of B, okay, so we've got tins of B, so we've got 1 equals 12, so 2 equals 24, then 36, then back to 1, stays at 1, back to 3, then to 2, and then these two numbers have to add to 30 in the first case, and then these numbers have to add to 45, then back to 15, back to 15, back to 45, and back to 30. So how much paint have we got? We've got to add A and B times by 15, so 2 times 15 equals 30. 45, 60, 45, 60, 75, 75. How much paint is red? Okay, so we look at the amount of red. So first column is how much is red, so we've got red from paint A, red from paint B, so 10 plus 12 is 22, and then just add the numbers up. We've got 10 plus 24 equals 34, and we just keep going down. 46, 32, 42, 56, 54, and then the white is those numbers added together. So start with 8, then 11, 14, 13, 18, 19, and 21. And so the ratio was 34 to 11, which doesn't cancel down. This one is 46 to 14, which cancels down to 23 to 7. This one's 32 to 13, which doesn't change. 42 to 18, which changes to 7 to 3. 56 to 19, which doesn't change. And 54 to 21, which changes to 18 to 7. And then you just had to look down those columns. I looked down at your columns. So according to my list, I had 3E, 3E, 3, 3C, 3C, 4A, 4A, 4D, 4D, 4I, 4I, or 41 it might have been, 41, and then 47, 47. Okay, come across when you're ready. Okay, so this was the hard part of the task, and you had to work out, could you use these numbers to make 3 to 1 or 5 to 1? Okay, so again, the way I approached it was that you had to look at fractions. Okay, so I was just setting up some of the numbers. So we've got pane A and pane B. So we've got 67% red and 80% red. And in the first one, we're trying to get 75% red. So the first one is in between those numbers. So there must be some combination that will average out to 75%. But with the 5 to 1, we're trying to get 83% red. And the biggest amount of red we've got is 80%. So we can't increase beyond the biggest number. Okay, so the biggest number is 80% if we just had lots of can B, but we cannot get to 83%. So that is not possible because 83% does not lie in between those two numbers. Okay, so this is the approach I did. So for the first one, we know that they come in 15 litre cans. So in can A, we have 10 litres of red, 5 of white, and in can B, we've got 12 litres and 3 litres. So that is your 2 to 1 and your 4 to 1 ratio. So when we're trying to get 3 to 1, we're trying to get 3/4 red. Okay, 3/4 red. So the red must add up to 3 parts out of the total being 4. And the red will come from these numbers. And we've got some number of cans. So if I've got X numbers of A, I'll have 10X litres of red. If I have Y cans, so this is the number of cans. So if I have X litres of with 10, then I'll have 10X red, and now I'll have 12Y red. And then on the bottom, I'm going to have, I've got 15 litres. So this is the total paint. Okay, so I've got 15X, and I also have 15Y. Okay, so this is your red component, and this is your total component. And those fractions have to add up to 3/4. So what we have is an equation that we have to solve. So we've got, I'll just do it over here again. So 3/4 equals 10X plus 12Y over 15X plus 15Y. And then with an equation, we need to get the fractions off so we can cross multiply. So that's going to go that way, that will go that way. So I've got 3 times 15x plus 15y, close bracket, equals 4 lots of 10x plus 12y. Expand out the bracket, so we've got 45x plus 45y equals 40x plus 48y. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring the x's to one side and the y's to the other. And so when I do that, I have 5x equals 3y. Okay, so 45 minus 40 is 5, 48 minus 45 is 3. So the ratio is we need 5 lots of x to equal 3 lots of y. And the simplest way of doing that is if x was 3 and y was 5, we have 5 3s of 15 and 3 5s of 15. So there's an infinite number of answers, but the smallest one is 3 cans of A and 5 cans of B will give you your tint. And if you want to just check that out, so 3 cans of A and 5 cans of B with the red and the white. So 3 cans of A will give us 30 and 15. 5 cans of B will give us 60 and 15. So we've got 90 red and 30 white, and 90 over 120 equals your 3/4, which is your 3:1 ratio. Okay, so that's how you do it with that one. Okay, come across when you're ready. Okay, so this next one, we couldn't just have the same answer, so we've introduced some new paints, 3 to 2 and 5 to 2. So let's have a look. So we've got can A, can B, can C, can D. So we've got can A is 67%, and we have 80% for can B. Now can C is going to be 3/5, so it's going to be 60%. And this one here is going to be 5/7, and 5/7 is about 71%. So this one here is 5/7, which is about 71%. And we're still trying to make 3 to 1 and 5 to 1. So 75% or 83%. And again, these new cans that we've introduced do not have anything above 80. So the 5 to 1 is still not possible. But for the 75%, we've got to get two numbers that go in between. So for instance, between 80 and 60, 75 is between 80 and 60, and 75 is also between 80 and 71. So there is some combination, but you can't use A and C or A and D because you can't get to 75% when the biggest number is 71%. So there is a combination of B and C, and there must be some combination of B and D that will give us our 75%. So the one I'm going to do is I'll do the B and C answer. So the B and the C, red, white. Okay, so we've got 10 and 15 and 9 and 6. So we'll have C, because C doesn't actually say in the question what the can sizes are. So C's a nice easy one because you can get 15 litres out of those ratios. And so we've got the equation to solve. 12x, so we've got, I've just picked my table up, I had the A can, so 12 and 3, not 10 and 5, which was the A can. So 12x plus 9y, so again we've got x number of cans and y number of cans, over 15x plus 15y equals our 3/4 again. And we do our cross multiply, so we've got 4 lots of 12x plus 9y equals 3 lots of 15x plus 15y. Expand out the brackets. 36y equals 45x plus 45y, and then bring the x's that way and the y's that way. So 48 minus 45 is 3. 45 minus 36 is 9, and then divide through by 3. And so we just need one can. We need, so we just need 1 can of Y, or which is going to be 1 can of C for 3 cans of X. So 3 cans of B. So 3 cans of B and 1 can of C will give us our 3/4. Okay, and you can test that out. With the other one, with B and D, we weren't given the size of the D container, so it does get a little bit trickier, but the B and C was much easier to prove. And the last question, is it always possible to combine two paints wherein the ratio of x to 1 and y to 1 to make a new ratio z to 1? And the answer is yes, as long as z's ratio or percentage is in between. Okay? So we proved in the previous questions that it is possible as long as it is in between, and we've proved that before. Okay, as long as the ratio is in between the other two numbers. If it's outside, then you can't do it. Okay, that's it. Bye.